Everyone, and welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast. I am your host, Hiram, and on this platform, we are men helping men redefine greatness through service. And as you've been with me already, you should know by now that through this month, we have been talking, and I've been having this journey of communicating and talking with the women that have impacted my life. And I call this the month for mothers. I believe that they are important in any man's life, just like anyone else. And so I've been having these great conversations, and I'm about to have one with somebody that has been truly an impact in my life and someone that I truly, truly adore. And I want to make sure that you are part of this conversation. Do me a favor, share this with somebody before we dive into this combo. And before we do this, I do want you to do me a favor. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all conversations that we have and all the ones that I bring to this platform. If you're listening to this for the very first time on any podcast platform, make sure that you subscribe as well. But do me a favor also and comment. Let me know, how did you find out about this podcast? Because I would love to know where and how this podcast is impacting people's lives so that I can continue to reach the people that I believe that are supposed to be drawn to this podcast. So without any further ado, do me a great favor. Put your hands together. If you are in the gym, if you're working out, if you're taking a walk, if you are just getting off work, do me a favor. Put your hands together quietly and welcome my beautiful godmother, Lisa Smith. Hey, Mom, how you doing?
Hello, hello, hello.
So, Mom, do me a favor before we dive in our conversation and introduce yourself to everyone that's watching as well as that's listening, and then we'll go.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you, Godson, for having me.
Yes,
I am, as you mentioned, Lisa Smith. I am a wife of 35 years, mother of 3 young adult sons, plus our bonus son, Mr. Hiram Roche, our godson. I currently work. I've been in the medical field for almost a decade and a half, really doing what is, I believe, is part of my purpose, and that is ministering to women in the earth realm. I am, for lack of a better term, an ovarian cancer patient advocate. And in a nutshell, what I do is put on fundraising events to raise funding for ovarian cancer research. Apart from that, I am co-owner of a business with my husband, Perfect Pettifords, where my husband is the chief cake architect, if you would, or the cake boss, our personal cake boss. And we have been enriching people's lives with their special events in life for almost 12 years now. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Well, I'm grateful that the world is going to get a chance to be able to meet my mom,
All
meet
right.
my godmom, and so we're gonna. I really want to have a conversation, Mom, and just really get a chance to utilize this moment and get to chance to know you a little bit more and really hear your story as a mother
Okay.
and kind of dive into that. I believe that it's very impactful and kind of the storyline in reference to just a woman's story in general and how they look at life or see life. Surely, for as a mother, of children, dealing with that, how that affects them, and all of those things, and learning about your history, I believe it also will help and impact somebody that is
Yep.
listening to this or watching this.
Okay.
So, take me kind of to the beginning and back a little bit. Let's just go back a little bit. Where were you born? And I would say born and raised.
Sure. Excuse me, I am a native New Orleanian, born and raised in the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. Went through public school system there. Um, got saved actually at a young age. I'm 55 now, almost 56. But um, my family weren't real churchgoers, if you
Mm-hmm.
would.
Okay.
However, it's always one in the family, and it just happened to be my uh, paternal grandfather. I'm sorry, my maternal grandfather, my
Mm-hmm.
mom's dad. That he was the one that went to church in the house. That's not to say he was living right, but he had enough sense in him to make his way to the house of God on Sunday.
Right.
And it was just my mom, my dad, and my sister. And for whatever reason, I was drawn to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would see him get up and get ready for church, and I would tell him I wanted to go. And he and I would literally, our church was close, so we would walk down the avenue to church. And I think the reason I enjoy doing that too, because I know every Sunday after church, I was guaranteed a milkshake. He would take me to the little local restaurant. So even at a young age, I recognize the power of being able to give and get, if you would. But we went through a lot of different denominations as my parents, or my mom mainly, was seeking and searching for a higher power, if you would, which was really God. So let's see, we were Catholic, we were Baptist,
Wow.
we were nothing, backslidden. Then we went back to Baptist and kind of stayed there, probably until I was about maybe 16 years old. But I really gave my life to the Lord, got saved at age 12. I mean, really committed. And I thank God, because there was a couple in that ministry that just really groomed me spiritually and made sure I stayed on the straight and narrow. So it wasn't a whole bunch I could get away with.
Right.
And I didn't like it at the time, but boy, am I grateful, because it was really God's way of hiding me and grooming me. And it reminds me of the story with Moses, how Miriam hid Moses for such an appointed time. Even though Moses was a baby, his sister was old enough to know what was going on, but didn't quite understand that. And so I kind of feel like I had that experience, because little did I know, a few years after that, probably 4 or 5 years after that, I met my husband. Of course, he was really probably my closest friend at the time. And we met, believe it or not, well, for those who know us know, singing in a community choir. And we became friends first. And, he always liked me to tell this story, so I'll just share it here. Little lanyard. That's a little extra for folks who don't live in New Orleans. He and I was secretary in this choir. And so when I began to develop an affinity for him, if you would, I had the responsibility of calling all of the members, giving them the latest, telling them about engagements, whatnot. And I would always save him for last so that I could talk to him longer. And so it kind of went from there. And, we both realized that we have feelings for each other. And so the rest is history. We dated for several years. He went into the military after we graduated high school. We did the long distance thing. And then he proposed to me. We got married several years later, and moved to Texas, Christian House, Fort Hood, and then was involved in ministry at Christian House of Prayer from 1985 to 1998. And in the course of that time frame, even before we had kids of our own, this little guy came into our life, known as Little Hiram. And, I praise God that he really allowed us to experience parenting through you, because being away from home, there were no kids around us.
Right.
And so you really gave us our crash course to parenting. I mean, literally from taking you after church or taking you during the summer, taking you on trips, you know what I mean?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
really prepared us. And of course, no one could ever be fully prepared for parenthood, but you gave us a real crash course. And, we always say you were probably our firstborn without being born directly from us. And then came along your brothers, which they hold you in high regard.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you can't tell them, or no one can tell them that you're not blood to them or we're not related. So that's just, kind of how we got here to where we
Right.
are. So,
Yeah. Yes.
just doing life, doing ministry, and here we are.
Now,
Is that enough?
that was good, Ma. No, that was good. So for those that are, I say more so watching, because those that are listening, y'all can't see this part. But for those that are watching, I know that y'all are probably trying to figure out, why is he smiling so much? Y'all have to understand. My godmom does something to me. So my godmom is literally, I love my godmother so
Aw.
much. I wanted to ask Mom about, I call her grandma because I am a part of the family. So I wanted to ask about her. I vaguely remember her as a child. So I can't remember. I was trying to go back and think about, I remember seeing her face. I remember seeing, I think as a child, I and vaguely remember,
Yeah.
but I don't remember her personality, how she was. So tell me about your mom, and as well as your relationship with your mom and how that was.
Sure. Well, I know you probably the memories or the vague memories that you do have is probably from when we took you home for one Christmas holiday. It was
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks in in New Orleans. That was all new to you, and
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think you were probably maybe around between 6 or 7 years old. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, I was pregnant. So you were 5. I was pregnant with little Roger. I have a great memory.
Very great.
And I was at that stage. It was getting close to the due date. So, getting irritable, but
Mhm.
I wanted you to come on this trip. And so your mom was like, yeah, sure, I'm going to pack him up. And so we took you to New Orleans. We spent the majority of the time with her and my
Mhm.
stepdad. And of
Mhm.
course, we spent time with your goddad's parents.
Mhm.
But my mom, was probably the person in my life that had the biggest heart,
Mhm.
had so much to give, and was just a real example for us.
Mhm.
Her and my biological father separated or divorced
Mhm.
when I was probably 5 or 6 years old.
Hmm.
So for the majority of our lives until she remarried, it was just she, I, and my sister.
Okay.
So we watched her just go through everything,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it was literally like we all grew up together, if you would.
Oh, wow.
My mom was a hard worker. I could remember any given time my mom had at least 2 to 3 jobs to make sure that
Wow.
we were okay. And
Yeah.
even with all those jobs, a lot of times we weren't okay. But she never gave up.
Mhm.
She never made the choice to abandon us.
Mm.
And, my mom, unfortunately, you have families that people grow up in
Mhm.
that is just not ideal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
family members, because of, I'm convinced now that I'm older, they treat you intentionally and sometimes unintentionally the way
Mhm.
that they were treated. They
Right.
don't mean to be um, hard or not warm,
Mhm.
but sometimes that's all they know. And
Yeah.
for my mom, when I think about her, to be quite honest, and I feel safe enough to share in this space, when my mom died, I consider to be a young age, which was at 65. I'm
Mhm.
literally 10 years from that age.
Right,
Um,
right.
I was upset, quite honestly.
Mhm.
I feel her life was cut short.
Mm,
I felt that she gave people more than enough and did not get a lot of that back. So
mm.
I wasn't angry at God. However,
Right,
I was maybe angry is harsh, but I felt a certain kind of way
right, right.
because it was way too short,
Mhm.
and my mom didn't get a lot of love like I consider the love that I or me and my husband gave to you, gave
Mhm.
to our sons. She didn't get that, and so
Mhm.
she was, I guess the best term to use is, even as an adult, and it makes me sad, was
Mhm.
trying to buy love, if you would.
Mm.
And for me, I
Okay.
think it's the saddest thing to see an adult
Yeah.
doing that. And it's not like she was saying, "Oh, please love me," but
Right.
my mother was an amazing cook, and you may remember that because even when she would visit Copper's
Right.
Cove and
Mhm.
Killeen, she
Mhm.
always cooked. She made sure she was happy when everybody was eating her food and talking about how good it was. She
Mm. Okay.
absolutely loved that. But
Right.
so that's the way she would give love, and she expected to receive love. And so, people took advantage of her a
Mhm.
lot of times because she never asked people to pay her. She never asked for anything in return. And
Mhm.
sometimes that's great, but a lot of times that can be bad because I'm a firm believer that you teach people how
Mm.
to treat you. And
Right.
if you allow them to do that, that's what they'll keep doing until you stop it. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
she taught me and my sister a lot of things. And one of the things is that no one can treat me any old kind of way. No one can treat my sister any old kind of way because we saw that and we knew early on that we were not going to stand for that.
Right.
But all in all, she was the best mother that she could
Mhm.
possibly be to us. I am, and my sister, we are who we are today because of her,
Mhm.
good, bad, and the ugly.
Right.
And I'm proud to say, and my sister and I say proudly that we are, everybody calls her Miss Barbara, but we always refer to each other as Miss Barbara's daughters. And
Mhm.
so I'm proud to say that I am Miss Barbara's daughter for sure.
And if for those that don't know, my mom nor my auntie, or have never had the opportunity to be in their presence, either separately or together, I
Hmm.
would tell you that you're missing a moment. There's never been a moment that I've been with my godmom or been with my godmom and my auntie in the same room, and you wasn't gonna have fun. You wasn't about to feel loved. You wasn't gonna feel a part of. Literally made you feel like a family member. And I know that those things are attributed to, like you said, mom, things that you have learned from grandma.
Absolutely.
And so one of the thoughts that crossed my mind, mom, that I wanted to ask was, when you had, I know you had me, but when you had Rod, when you had us together, and this being your first, what were some of the things that you wanted to make sure that you poured in or taught us as a young age, just to raise up a certain way? What were some of the things that you wanted us to make sure we learned and knew?
Probably more than anything is purpose and love. Like wherever you are, especially with us,
Mm-hmm.
is always a safe place to be you. In terms of purpose, I wanted you all to know that there's something great.
Right.
It's not a cliche, but however, I find myself keep going back to that, but to
Right.
know that there was greatness on the inside of you,
Mm-hmm.
regardless to what you saw or who you felt was great in your eyes. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes,
whoever
ma'am.
you saw, and they demonstrated greatness in front of you, I wanted you to know that you have that in you. Maybe
Yeah.
not necessarily what that thing is for that person or those people, but you
Mm-hmm.
have some of that in you. And early on, even before the guys were born, and each one of them, of course, Roy and Ryan are twins. So, but when
Mm-hmm.
before they were born, before Roderick was born, literally those whole 9 months, probably from the minute I found out I was pregnant, I spent time daily in the
Mm.
presence of God, covering them and speaking the word over them that I wanted to see the fruit,
Mm.
those fruit in their lives once they got here.
Yeah.
And so
Mm.
once they arrived, um, cultivating that wasn't hard for me.
Right.
The journey to get them to walk in that was a challenge, but
Mm.
that's just life, because
Right.
what you're doing is you're really trying to mold
Mm-hmm.
somebody not to be what I wanted them to be, but certainly what we felt God purposed them
Mm-hmm.
to be. So all that
Mm.
was fine, but you still have to get past personality. And
Right.
boy, did we have personality. Three individual personalities, like something could pop off at any given time. You know what I mean? But to get back to your question, definitely purpose and definitely
Mm.
love.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because honestly, while my mom was great,
Mm-hmm.
um, as I got older, and I didn't know while I was in that, but as I
Mm-hmm.
got older, I realized that other people's demonstration of love
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the type of love that I experienced. Now, don't get me wrong, I was never abused.
Right.
Um,
Right.
every beating I got or discipline I received, that makes me chuckle, because the day and era that I grew up in, it was called beatings and whoopings.
Right.
But
Right.
trust me, everyone I got, I deserved, because and it goes back to my point. I was being molded and shaped, and she didn't really understand that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I certainly did by the time I started having kids. And
Right.
what I was very cautious and conscious about was never to break our kids' spirit,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm.
that's something that's a hard thing to recover from.
Right. Right.
You have to pull out more to help men and build someone's spirit,
Right.
versus seeing where they are, accepting where they are, and working with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things, Mom, that I've always loved is that you've always been that a safety
Hmm.
whereas like I was comfortable enough to come and just be open. And Mom, this is where I'm at. This is what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And all of my brothers, we have that same context. And but I do know that there's a lot of people, in reference to just parents, surely in reference to the context when you're talking about with moms, um, where it's like the kids don't feel safe enough to come and just be open.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, was that shaping really by the aspect of how you loved us, or was that per se intentional to kind of create
Um,
that safety place?
I think it was both, honestly.
Okay.
And I say both because it was intentional, because that was in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as I began to, rear you guys, and when we had you
Mm-hmm.
over, and it was never them and you, it was
Right.
always everybody
Right.
together.
Yeah.
So whatever they was getting when you got there, you were getting that too.
Yes,
You know
ma'am.
what I mean? And so it was intentional in that regard. However, as they got older, um, when you're going through the process,
Mm-hmm.
it can be painful. It's growing pains. And so a
Yeah.
lot of times it may not necessarily be an experience that you want or something that you want to hear. However, I believe, and I'm under the persuasion that um, the the um, art of learning is repetitious. So
Okay.
doing it, whether it feels good or not, or whether
Mhm.
they want to hear it or not, that does not mean you stop doing it. You know,
Right.
you got to keep doing it. It's just like faith. Faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. It's not
Right.
because you heard. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I believe because of that, where they, when they got to the place of being a preteen and being a teenager and um, start to experience all these different emotions and feelings or what have you, I think the pieces start to fall into place, that they begin to realize they had a place, like they didn't
Mhm.
have to go outside. And that's not to say they didn't talk to other people or what
Mhm.
have you. But I was very intentional because I think for me as a parent, and
Mhm.
probably more than my husband, and I've shared this with him, and I think it's probably because I didn't have this.
Mhm.
It probably felt like almost like a slap in the face to me
Mm.
if I got wind of my sons going to someone else for
Mm.
advice that I felt they should have come to me about. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. Yes,
Like
ma'am.
life stuff.
You're right.
Um, Again, not that they couldn't uh, consult with anybody else, because I'm convinced that God placed people strategically, especially if
Mhm.
that's your prayer for your
Right.
children. You know, teachers, pastors, leaders, instructors, counselors around them, so that they
Mhm.
could be well rounded. But I just wanted to make sure that they knew, you know, whatever you need is in the house, so to speak. And
Right.
so I was so in overdrive to make sure that they knew that, so that
Mhm.
they wouldn't go nowhere else, or so that I wouldn't hear that they went somewhere else.
Right. Right.
Um, until guess it just stuck.
Mhm.
That's the best way I could probably describe it.
Right.
But I'm happy to say that it stuck in all the right ways, because, like you said, you know, you feel safe sharing with me,
Mhm.
and you shared some pretty personal things with me, and
Mhm.
so have our guys. I mean, they're grown, they have their own home, and
Right.
you know, they can call or text at any given time.
Mhm.
And my chest just beams with pride when I get those calls or those texts.
Right.
No, I don't pat myself on the back, but I literally say out loud, "Thank you, God," because it worked. You know,
Yeah.
they get it. They realize that if nowhere else or no one else is a safe space for them, they have that in us.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so
Yes,
I
ma'am.
feel really, really good about that.
Yes, ma'am. And for those that are watching or listening, one of the reasons why I asked that, one is because I needed y'all to understand uh, this atmosphere in reference to with my godmom, and how, again, over the years, uh, at this point of time, my people, I am 38 years old. And so, you know, if you're listening to this 5 years from now, I'm 38 at this point of this conversation, and I do still call my godmom. We still have conversations,
Yep.
and when we do talk, I'm still transparently open, because I do feel safe. There one of the things that I feel that I do, when I'm talking with, when I see y'all, when I'm talking with y'all, you are dead, is it's almost like I go back to the child,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how comfortable I am. You know,
Sure.
I feel like, and my godmom knows I would do this as a child. When I would see my godparents, I would run to them, run up, and I
Yep.
would hug them. I would be smiling and beaming, and I still do it today. So if I see my godparents out somewhere, I don't care what's going on, who's around, I'm loving on my godparents.
Absolutely. And vice versa. Nothing and no one will keep us from getting together and we're in the same space. Believe
Exactly.
that.
I believe it. And but one of the reasons why I brought it up, Mom, was because I know that there are people that that are listening that need to hear. I believe that this is so great of a wisdom because you set that atmosphere and that tone for us to feel comfortable as men to come and communicate with you even as we got older.
Mm-hmm.
It helped in other dynamics.
Mm.
It helped for us to be able to express ourselves. And for anybody that knows my brothers, we are not we're not that afraid of being able to
Mm-mm.
um, express ourselves. But a lot of that became because of how y'all did us, how
Mm-hmm.
comfortable you made us feel just being able to be who we were. And even after when y'all moved and and different transitions and things, even with me had happened, it was like, okay, but baby, what you want to do? What you feel
Yeah.
God telling you to do? Not just be yourself. Don't worry about them people. It was
Oh my God, you sound just like me.
because it was
So
this
mother
same
henish.
it was the same feeling no matter when it was. and
Yep,
um and so that helped me. It really did. And for the person, the mom, the wife, whoever that is listening, make sure that you're doing the same. Make sure that you set an atmosphere intentionally where they feel comfortable communicating with you. They feel comfortable coming to you. Because as surely as men, and mom, you know this because you've been around different people and seen different, as
hmm,
men, sometimes we are trained to either express or we're trained to shut down.
absolutely.
And so if you have a young child, whatever, you have an opportunity to be able to raise them in the atmosphere of being able to express and being able to do it in a safe environment, safe place, and then learn how to do it well. I again, all of me and my brothers, one thing I know is even though we express ourselves, we ain't reckless.
Absolutely.
And a lot of that came because
Because
as
mama
sweet as
ain't play that.
I was about to say, as sweet as my godmama is, mama ain't playing that dog.
No, no. Not doing that. But kind of to piggyback off what you're saying,
Hmm.
making sure that it's a safe place. I think what is key to it, I had to learn this probably because of my personality.
Hmm.
I speak. I don't believe in just existing. That's
Right.
just not who I am. And quite honestly, I've never been that person. If my mom was here today, my
Hmm.
mouth got me in a whole bunch of trouble because that's just how God made me. Now
Right.
again, I'm not reckless, and I know how to discern
Hmm.
um, timing or read the room, if you would, and
Right.
discern the room. But trust me, when I have the moment to express, that I will do. But what I had to learn, and it's just a part of
Hmm.
parenting, what you want to be careful of, not only creating a safe place for your child to express themselves, but then when they start to express themselves, and perhaps it's something that you A, don't agree with, or B, it may not be coming out the way that you wanted to, you still
Hmm.
have to listen
Right.
and address it in a way that it does not cause them to shut down or
Right.
say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not putting myself out there like that anymore because she's
Hmm.
going to respond this way. You know what
Right.
I mean? You
Yeah.
need to make sure, and it's a fine line. And again, I had to learn that, um, especially as my guys got older, and I still had to make the transition, if you would.
Hmm.
And my husband helped me out with that. He's like you got to transition because they're not boys
Right.
anymore.
Right.
Like you got to switch the conversation, and so it's a ever growing process. But again, as long as the foundation is there, I
Hmm.
feel that you can always get back to that because that's the core,
Yeah.
and branch out from there. and leave with everybody being heard, everybody feeling that they're okay, and that whatever they say matters. You know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now, Mom, what advice, other than what you just shared in reference to the making sure that there is that safe place, safe space, and being able to also learn and know how to be able to adjust as we got older,
Hmm.
and making those different adjustments and transitions. What advice would you give the mother, just for the sake of saying, Mom has raised four boys?
Hmm.
I am including myself in this number. So four
Absolutely,
boys.
absolutely.
Um, she has raised four boys. What advice would you give to the mother that is in a similar situation? They have, four boys, four men sitting in their home that they're trying to raise. What advice would you give to that mother to help her to be able to be, I don't want to say do it right, because
Hmm.
I don't want to make it seem like she's doing it wrong. But
Sure.
what advice would you give her? Surely in the time and era and thought process that we're in now, to be able to pour in to make sure that her children are ready, feel loved, and all of those things for their future.
I think the thing that sticks out to me is a couple of things actually. Don't
Okay.
compare.
Mm.
You have four different personalities. Um, Allow them to be them and deal with them as an individual.
Mm.
Sure, they're all coming up together, but you have to respect their personality and who their individuality. That's the better
Hmm.
word.
Okay.
Enough to say, I'm going to make the investment to treat them um, for who they are, address them where they are. Um, I feel that has probably been the biggest lesson for me, and getting the guys, even you, um, to want to come to me, to want
Right.
to be around me as a mother. You know what I mean? To be
Hmm.
able to share. It's
Hmm.
because I didn't group everybody together.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't treat everybody, and I don't treat everybody the same. I know everybody's individual personality, and that's how I address you
Yeah.
when you come to me. I think it's so key, and um, it's really a good foundation to lay, so that the doors can be open
Hmm.
for conversation that may not otherwise be open if you treated them like the next one. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
I was very intentional about not doing that because I mean, it was just only fair, quite honestly.
Right.
And it worked.
No, it did. It did. I know a lot of parents, I'll say it that way. A lot of parents, I've heard a lot of parents, people in general, where they compare one child to another, compare one scenario to another, and it's like this. You make almost as a, it might be, which I believe it is not intentional,
Yeah,
but it then becomes this competition
yeah,
where now you're fighting to be the favorite for the parent,
yeah,
or be the one that gets this, or to be the one that, and it's always this back and forth
yeah.
competition because of that. And honestly, even as you were talking, I was thinking about it. I don't ever, I don't, still to this day, I don't feel that there's a competition that I have to compete
Mm-mm.
when it comes to my brothers.
No,
All of my brothers are skilled in what they do. All of my brothers has always been very, very intelligent. Um, and so it's, me, it's always been, we love on each other for what our skill
absolutely,
sets is, and support each other for what we do. But I've never felt that I needed to compete against them for
absolutely.
you or dad's attention. And so I love that the way that y'all raised us, the way that y'all loved us, I love it. And just like I shared, I've shared before, but I look at you and what you and Dad have done in reference to raising us, and I use it really as a template for
Mm,
what I do here with my boys.
wow.
Because I believe that you and Dad have created such a balance with
Praise
us
God.
and in our lives, and it's been effective. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
effective. All of us is loving God and living
Yeah.
life and enjoying it, and
Hey, if you don't have to reinvent the wheel, don't do it. I mean, if it's there, if the plan is there, work the plan. How
Yes,
about that?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it, for everything that you and Dad have done, and that y'all have poured into us to help
Praise
us
God. We
become
can
the
say praise
person.
God on this podcast, right?
Yes, ma'am. You sure can.
Praise God.
This is the podcast for that. You good? Uh, so thank you, Mom, for taking out your time
Oh,
and
you're
having
welcome.
this conversation with me. Again, I wanted to make sure that not only that we had a good conversation and
Yes.
really went through some things, but I wanted to give the world an opportunity to meet the women that impact my life.
Wow.
And so for anybody that knows me, that really knows me,
Right.
they know that I'm a mama's boy.
Yes, you
And
are.
so, I am a mama's boy for sure,
Yes.
and I love my mom, and
Amen.
and my mama loves me, and
Absolutely. And
even
they need to know your mom will get them. Sorry. Not sorry. Yes. I love my boys. Listen. And if I can move earth for them, if need be, trust me, I'm gonna do it with everything in me until I can't.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
We got that on record.
Yes, ma'am. That's on record, mom. I ain't going nowhere. That's on
Nope.
record. So thank you again, Mom. I love you so very
Oh,
much.
we love you
Um,
so much as well. We are so godly proud of you. Oh my God.
Thank you,
Our
Mom.
chest just sticks out and beams with pride just to see how you are literally fulfilling your purpose spiritually and personally, and it is working for you. A good, God fearing family man of one wife, one woman, father to two children, and we know that for a fact. We don't have to guess.
Yes, ma'am.
You're loving God and you're loving life. And so we could not be more proud of you. We love
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Keep
you,
doing what
Mom.
you are doing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I'm not going to do, and I'll say this because my mom is on here, so I can say this. I'm not going to be like my dad. My dad is a crybaby, and he will cry, and I'm not about to do that on this
Okay,
conversation.
don't cry.
But I love you, Mom, and I'm thankful. Thank you again for coming on and
Yes,
being a
sir.
part
Thank
of
you for having me. I'm
um,
honored.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. Thank you for watching us and making sure that you have shared this and you loved on us. And I'm thankful for it. Y'all be blessed and continue to be great. Love you all. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. I pray that this conversation was impactful to you in some form of way. What I want to make sure is that not only are you hearing and learning this information, but that you're taking the time to apply something, some nugget, some piece that you took from this conversation that you can say, I can apply this for my life to be better. I want you to continue to be with me and make sure that you're with me every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I love you all, and I'll talk to you next time right here on the Focus on Greatness family. Bye-bye.